I think we can all agree that this is one of the most shocking and heartbreaking chapters of all of Chainsaw Man, because when we began this chapter, the last few chapters, all Denji wanted was to just see a penguin. And when he finally gets to see a penguin, there's this immediate bond between the two of them. It's going to be his new Pochita. He cuddles him up. He carries him away. Denji and the penguin. I'm ready for Chainsaw Man Part 3. Denji X Penguin. And then, of course, at the end of the chapter, it is brutally ripped away from him by one of the aquarium workers. And we don't know if we're ever going to see this penguin again. And I don't know if there's anything else in this chapter that's even worth talking about, because this was so sad, so heartbreaking, and just such a twist in story that, like, I can't even... Dude, Denji's been through some rough shit. Don't get me wrong. He's experienced a lot of pain, a lot of loss, but, dude, this penguin was awesome. You know, come to think of it, Chainsaw Man actually kind of has a reputation for getting rid of and destroying very cute, small creatures and characters, because you had Pochita, and then you had Bucky, and now we have this unnamed penguin, and that's just not right, man. But anyways, Chainsaw Man Chapter 117 also had a bunch of other stuff happen. I just none of it's as important though. One of the most hilarious things was that at the end of the last chapter, Asa said that she was going to buy the aquarium. That way it would belong to her. That way she could turn it into a weapon and thus potentially get rid of the Eternity Devil, you know, kind of endless location where it was. And I love how most people were saying at the end of the last chapter, you know, the amount of money she has, the equivalent. People even like went through and did the currency exchange and tried to figure out how much it would be in like USD back in the 90s where this takes place or whatever. And like, it's not enough to buy any sort of business ever. And I love how the whole aquarium just sort of dissipates, and you see the devil, and he's like, that's not enough money to buy an aquarium, you dumbass. And needless to say, he's pissed, but it makes sense. I would be pissed too. But listen, here's the interesting thing about it is that, okay, so it worked. It worked because Asa believed that the aquarium belonged to her. I think that is incredibly interesting, because when we're dealing with her ability to change something into a weapon, so now you're not saying that she has to actually own it, she has to believe that she owns it. Am I understanding that correctly? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the case, and that's why the aquarium, you know, dissipated and became the weapon for her, which was just this like little stick with like two little fish on the end of it, which is hilarious. But that's what it came down to. It came down to her belief of ownership and how she feels about it. So her power is kind of like directly correlated to her emotion about the object, which is kind of cool, but kind of terrifying at the same time, because it depends on how she feels about particular things, of what she is going to be able to do with them. And what does that mean about how she feels about Denji, which is the cliffhanger of this chapter, which I'll get to here in a second. But also, as the aquarium is eliminated, Yoru returns within the mind of Asa. So was that the stipulation? Was that what the Famine Devil did? Basically, eliminating her ability to communicate and connect with Yoru. So was Yoru always still there, you know, always still a part of Asa, which is what I believe happened, but she was just unable to connect and communicate with her in any way until this scenario was resolved, or until, you know, Denji got turned into a weapon or whatever it was supposed to be. But Asa pulled a sneaky transition and just made the whole aquarium her weapon instead, so hey, that solves the problem. Haruka, which is the guy that is the #1 Chainsaw Man fan, so we saw, not necessarily posing and pretending to be Chainsaw Man. He got the little cord ignition implanted because he just loves Chainsaw Man. I mean, why not? Why not just get like strange implants into your body when you like somebody? I mean, I would. We saw Asa do this, and I'm sure the other people in the group also saw. Oh, also, Yoshida used his, like, octopus, you know, abilities, too, which was cool to see. I was wondering when that was going to come into play, since they literally were in an aquarium. But also, the strange thing is, now, Yoshida in the last chapter mentioned something very interesting to Denji about what would happen, you know, if you consumed the Death Devil, and what would happen if that happened, if death was just sort of, the fear of death was eliminated in the world. What would happen with that? And also, why is he's here to keep an eye on Denji in some way, shape, or form, but he also seems to know a lot more about what's happening behind the scenes than he lets on. And there's this specific shot of him looking up and seeing the Famine Devil, who's kind of like looking down and watching over this entire event. And there is this sort of look between them, like, obviously they know each other. Like, I feel like he already knows exactly who that is, exactly what she's doing, and that's part of the reason why he's here. But the trick of it is, does he have something to do with trying to bring her down or trying to use her to find the Death Devil? Or is there some sort of connection between the two that we don't really know about yet? Like, how on the level is Yoshida at this point? Because he seems like he's keeping a lot of information reserved, and he seems like he's keeping a lot of things away from Denji or any of the other characters that he interacts with. And so, like, I don't know, man. There's just something about him that I feel is shady that hasn't really been delved into yet. But after the chaos sort of wraps itself up, we get Asa and Denji together kind of walking, and Denji remembers that, hey, you promised me afterwards I could get any request I wanted after you. And there's this nice little moment of Denji in the first page of this chapter, which I like, that maybe he's subtly growing as a person, where he was like, no, I'm not going to just give in and comply to all these women all the time. But wait, she said I could get anything that I wanted. So, you have that conflict within him. And when he finally gets to her, early Denji would want something very simplistic. He would want to touch a titty, maybe make out, or maybe slap that ass. But this Denji wants to go on a second date. And I love that for him, man. And I even said that in the last chapter review. I was like, what if he just wants to continue whatever this is? This feeling of, like, in the last couple chapters where Denji and Asa were kind of growing a connection, it was sort of like he could just, like, forget about the troubles that were happening with him and the dangers of his past and what happened before, and he could just, like, frolic around an aquarium. And it's that sort of feeling where you don't have to think, which I feel like is a place where Denji would thrive and would want to continue being. And I do think that, like I said, I do think that they are going to become an actual item as time goes on. I think as part 2 of Chainsaw Man continues, that they're going to be like a very prominent force. I don't think either one of them is going to die. I know there's some speculation that, like, Asa is going to die, or even Denji and Asa take over, but that wouldn't. This series is called Chainsaw Man, so. But no, I really do think there's something brewing here, and I love to see it, man. Something about Chainsaw Man that can be so ridiculous and over the top and filled with just explosions of guts and gore everywhere, but at the same time, it can also be incredibly wholesome, and I live for those wholesome moments, man. The only problem is, so Asa is clearly getting feelings for Denji as well, and because she can feel that, so can Yoru, which is interesting. And Yoru is like, I can sense that, you feel an affection for this guy, so yeah, it must have worked. All right. And then she just takes over Asa's body and then places her hand on Denji and says, like, I'm gonna turn you into a weapon, Denji's spinal sword. If there's anything about Chainsaw Man, it's that it's incredibly unpredictable, because you can have 3 or 4 chapters of the characters kind of growing with each other in this aquarium setting and learning about each other and eating starfish or whatever it is, and then you could have a chapter like this that just has absolute chaos and then ends on a cliffhanger that just makes you think, what the hell? But we established in this chapter, I feel like, that even though Asa didn't have the correct amount of money to buy an aquarium, the fact that she believed that the aquarium belongs to her, the situation worked. So you would have to have her believe that Denji belongs to her in some way. And I don't think that would, I don't think it would matter what Denji felt towards her in that instance. But if that's not the case, does it really only matter what Asa feels about him? But also, because Denji is Denji and Denji is Chainsaw Man, is there going to be some sort of error that happens here? Like some sort of like syntax error, can't make this happen. Something with his physiology is going to not align with this. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's going to be some kind of mistake. There's going to be some kind of weird pause. There's going to be a humorous moment at the beginning of the next chapter where like nothing happens and Denji's wondering why Asa just put her hand on him. And maybe that's going to be the thing that leads Yoru and Asa into realizing that Denji is not actually fully human and that something else is going on with him. Anyways, at the end of it, I mean, I don't feel like Denji is in any actual peril at this point. I think that this is going to lead up to kind of a joke moment, but that joke moment might also lead into this discovery of who he is and what's going on with him. While at the same time, you have Haruka and the Devil Hunter Club that are now going to be on to Asa and wondering what the hell is going on with her. And so you just have this kind of continuous progression of characters subtly learning things about each other. Whatever's going on with Yoshida, I don't know. I don't trust him, but whatever. But anyways, I thought this was a great chapter. This was a lot of fun. I like that we're out of the aquarium, but at the same time, I'm going to miss it now. You know, we spent like 4 weeks in the aquarium, and now it's just like, I wanna go back to the starfish, man. Bring me the starfish. But anyways, guys, let me know what you thought about this chapter. Let me know all your thoughts, theories, ideas down below about what you think is going to happen. What will be Denji's fate in the beginning of the next chapter? Do you actually think he's in any kind of danger, or is this just leading to some kind of discovery between Asa and Yoru? So let me know what you think about that down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment, subscribe. Patreon and channel memberships are available in the description below. Other than that, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you next time.